Hello, and welcome to episode 30 of the IP3 podcast. I'm Kevin, joined today by Alex Becker and calling champion Mark Morrison. Welcome back, Mark. Welcome back.
Thanks. Always love being a guest star on the show.
uh,
The intro just sounded right after our last episode where I had to do it.
I'll try. This was like I don't know, not a make or break episode, but I needed to be here tonight before it was like too long that it's one of those things where it just it could fall off eventually. But I think coming back doing an episode, it's gonna feel good, feel right, and we'll get back on track with our usual schedule. Um, but yeah, so today's gonna be a bit of a episode because there's tons of stuff that there to catch up on. The Pro Tour happened. We've had multiple heroes hit Living Legend. Um, ProQuest season for Singapore is underway, and Aurora not long for this world. um, the other big tournament news is they finally announced. So we knew it was a world championship in the U.S., but World Championship Philadelphia this year, coming to a state relatively near us. So I
It's
get
a
to drive.
drivable distance.
uh,
I, I don't understand what Brian's doing. He said he almost moved to Cleveland. I don't know why it's not World's Cleveland.
There's
I
a spot
Really
for it.
disappointing.
I think it's definitely it's a when, not an if. It's probably not Cleveland though. It's probably Columbus. Just that feels a little more central for the you know Kentucky, Tennessee, southern part of the state.
I feel like in 2017 or 2018, the Magic Pro Tour is in Cleveland. So if Magic can do it, I feel like Flushable can do it.
Cleveland
True.
has an international
International airport,
airport, though.
and
I
it's
don't think
it's
Columbus is
small. It's
international.
small Chicago. Like you have everything that you have in Chicago, like professional sports teams, nice restaurants and stuff. But it's just you know 15% of the size, if that. You can
And
actually
it's way
walk
cheaper.
across the whole of downtown in like an hour, and it's
And if it
way
and if
cheaper
yeah,
for the
and if
frugal
there is
travelers.
an event in the summer, then people can go to Cedar Point, go to the
That's
Rock and
true.
Roll Hall of Fame, or the
Kalahari.
American Football Hall of Fame, if you care about that.
Hmm.
I don't know what the crossover is between Flushable players and football fans. I know everyone here likes football, but I don't know
Yeah,
about our the rest of our audience.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some overlap, but not visit the Pro Football Hall of Fame level interest,
I mean,
if I
I
had to guess.
I live here and I've never done that, so
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
it's great. I've been multiple times. It was one of the things we did for my bachelor party weekend. It was great. It's really cool though. Highly recommend.
It's
I
weird, like you live in a city and then the touristy things to do, you just never end up getting around to.
I both played football and ultimate frisbee in like the Hall of Fame village, but I've never actually visited the Hall of Fame.
I played couple high school football games in Fawcett Stadium, which is the where they had the Hall of Fame game. Because it's literally 20 minutes down the road from where I went to school.
Anyway, we just talked about how none of our audience or there's no overlap. We should probably move on.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Uh, well, let's kick it off with Pro Tour London wrap up. How let everybody know how you did, and we'll talk through sort of the your experiences, and then sort of the event as a whole.
Go ahead,
Let's
Mark.
you can start.
Okay, I will start then. Um, I finished 9-6 at 103rd place, which is good. Like the goal was to make day two so that I didn't have to play the calling and pay the entry for that. Um, so like I guess the highlights, like the lead up to, it's definitely the most difficult time I've had trying to pick a deck for an event. 'Cause I'm always the guy that's like, I'm gonna play what I enjoy playing. That's like the most reasonably positioned. But I just couldn't find anything in that vein, which was weird and hasn't happened to me before. So then 2 weeks before, I said, "Screw it, Kevin, can I borrow your Aurora deck since I don't have any of those cards?" Um, and I'll see what happens if I take the air quotes best deck to an event, and we'll see what happens. Um, so yeah, had definitely not enough testing for like a pro tour level event, but the deck kind of also just plays itself. Oh look, all these 4 go agains are in my hand, and I'll just play them all. Um, and then actually did quite a bit of draft prep with Mark, and Mark and I ended up on the same draft strategy. I think most of the team was on the same draft strategy of um, we are just going to draft Arachne, and if we scare people off of it by picking it early and we end up being the only one on the pod, then we're going to 3-0. And if there are like 3 or 4 Arachnes, then we'll go 0-3. But that's kind of like our last episode that Mark and I did, talk about variance. Like if you're going to try to win a pro tour, you gotta be able to like high roll the draft kind of. And
It's a gambit. There's a strategy
yeah,
to your holistic draft strategy as much as there is to playing out the games.
yeah. And that ended up working out. So the week of, I got to London on Wednesday morning, and then like checked into the hotel, and then we were just playing. Jesse and I walked around for a while, and then we went over and drafted with Loose Leaf T, Tyler, the buddy from the Team Covenant Discord, but also runs the Fab Cube site. Also, just a cool dude.
And
So
maintains the like fab data set that gets passed around for various fab projects. Does
yeah,
a lot of really excellent stuff behind the scenes for the community.
yep, he's a cool dude. So we hung out with his group that evening and drafted. I employed my draft strategy. Um, Ended up going 2-1 in that draft. It's like, okay, playing this against like pro tour caliber players at this point, like, and it's working. I went positive, didn't go 3, cool. Um, and then Thursday, I was like, well, I should probably actually play some constructed with this deck, and I played 6 games total of constructed on Thursday. Did not win a single game. So we're like, this is going
That's
well.
how you know it's going to be a strong
Yes,
weekend, though.
yes.
You just get all your
But
losses out of the way early. It's fine.
yeah. Well, and then I was like, I was having a crisis a little bit. It's like, am I bad at this game? Like, this is supposed to be like the best deck. How am I just losing every single game and I don't feel like they're close? So then we end that day of playing games with we got invited to do a draft, and then there was a big group of people in the lobby drafting, and then Jesse and I ended up in a draft with Brody, Michael Hamilton, Jacob Clement, um, Austin, and I don't remember the other 2 gentlemen's names that were with us. Um, but so we draft, and I was like, well, now it's time to really test this draft strategy because there's some very good players in here. So I drafted Arachne. I kind of bullied Jesse off of it because he was passing to me, which is unfortunate, but we're on the same team, sitting next to
Wait,
each other in the practice
he was
draft.
passing to you and you bullied him off of it?
Yeah, because he knew what I was going to do.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Because I was just like, I refuse to do anything else.
Mark's handcuff of doom.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if you want us all to draft KO and lose, that's fine. That's fine. But you know what I'm
It, it's
doing.
a it's a great game of chicken. As long as you're crazy enough to and willing to go 0-3, then everyone else will stay away.
Yeah,
The
and
secret, the
that's
secret
what
to
happened.
winning a calling: be willing to go 0-3 in a draft spot.
Yeah, there were 4 Syndras, um, 2 2 Arachnes and 2 Fangs in that pod, and then I played out the games and ended up going 3-0. It was like, so to end the day, it was like, okay, I'm not bad at this game. Maybe Runeblade is just cursed for me. So then next day, get up, go to the event, um, pair round 1 to Easton Douglas, who we have similar friends, but we've never actually met or interacted.
Easton Douglas, world's top 4 at Barcelona and member
Yeah,
of Team Ascent.
yeah,
Really nice guy, really great player.
yeah. While we were setting up and chatting, and then I mentioned our similar friends, and then we started chatting more. um, and then we were playing out the game. It was definitely the weirdest game I played all weekend because he ended up with all 3 codexes in his hand/arsenal at one point. So he was forced to just block with one and then play one like the following turn after that. But then also the turn that he took a bunch of damage and then like put a bonds on the table. He's playing new, excuse me. Um, put bonds of agony on the table. I look down at my hand, and while I have a channel lightning valley with a counter on it on the field already, I have 2 more channel lightning valleys in my hand, and also a electrostatic discharge in my hand, and then also like a lightning surge, like just 2 block attack action. So I go, well, I couldn't block this even if I wanted to. So I will just play, like, I will block for 2 and then allow you to pump this up because you just took a bunch of damage in order to keep 4 cards or whatever to pump up this bonds. And then responded by playing 2 Channel Lightning Valleys. And we both kind of looked at the table and laughed. And then
They're really pretty channel lightning valleys, though.
they are. He actually like reached over and picked them up and looked at them because Kevin has cold foil one. And then so my follow up was a snatch with go again from an embodiment on hit draw 4. So
He let it
uh,
hit.
he did not let that hit. Actually, I asked him to let it hit, and he said no. So that was kind of rude.
On hit draw 4.
So that was entertaining. We laughed about that, and game was super close and got down to it, and I ended up winning. But I kept checking in with him as I would see him throughout the weekend. It was not his weekend, but then he was excited to play the Battle Hardened and get to play Starbow again. So, but anyways, um, play some more games. End up 3-2 in no.
Yeah. 3-2 into 2-1.
Yes. 3-2 with Aurora, and then draft Arachne. My probably the most disgusting Arachne draft I've ever had, and then just punted the round 1 draft game because I just didn't block enough. But then won the other 2 games of draft. Then I made day 2. Didn't have to pay for the calling, so there's my prize money. And then day 2, open up with draft Arachne again. It was kind of just fine. There was another Arachne. I think somebody else was on it as well. So there's 3 for a bit, and then changed down to 2. But it was kind of fine. It had like a close game. Round 1 where it got down. We both had 1 card. So and we were both at 1. So whoever got to attack next, but it was not me who got to attack next. So lost that game, won the next one, and then lost the Arachne mirror to Arachne just always keep having me marked and then rolling a 1, a 2, or a 3 every time.
Oh, interesting. The
So,
ones that take
yeah,
cards from you and eat your arsenal
yeah,
and stuff. Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Seems
yeah,
good.
the good ones. Yeah. Um,
I
End
like
up,
how Kevin, you haven't really played this format much, but you knew exactly what those Arachnes were, where I couldn't tell you what any of the Arachnes were, and that's all I drafted.
Yeah. One takes from hand, 2 takes from arsenal, 3 I don't remember.
go again.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um, but yes. And then constructed started and basically have to. Um, I can maybe lose one round of constructed to still get in the money. So then I play against a Fang and honestly take his soul because the game came down to if he draws a draconic reaction off of that all you got that he blocked my sword with, then he gets to keep his fealty and then also make me block, um, and then like get to keep rolling that way and refresh dynamos and all that. And he drew a defense reaction instead, so
Oh
he got
man.
to just arsenal that, lose all his fealty, and give me a 5-card hand, which was then double arc lightning. Um, so
Just a few points of arcane there.
yeah, I felt bad because then he just kind of sat at the table and just stared off into space for the next 10 minutes after I had packed up and walked away, and then I walked back to see how Mark was doing, and he was still sitting at the table. So felt kind of bad about that. Next round is against Dash IO. Funny. I have yet to play an Aurora in this tournament, by the way. Um, at this point, and his deck just does not cooperate and just doesn't really do anything. So I win that one, and then the next one I play against another Dash IO. It's very strange. I get max velocity on turn 0. Not a great way to start. And then I end up getting max velocity again later. It was a super close game. Didn't end up getting that one. And then what else? What was the last 1, 2, 3? Oh yeah, and then my last round was against an Enigma. So I went through the entire Pro Tour without playing an Aurora Mirror, even though it was 30% of the field.
It's impressive.
um, yeah, I have a knack for doing that. Um, but played against an Aurora, not an Aurora, Enigma set up like Flicker Wisp Arc Lightning, went like 8 wide, and it was really gross. So won that one.
So
Uh,
final tally you said was 9-6,
yep.
which was
Nice.
just outside, right? Just outside the money. Or was
Yeah,
that?
I think if I would have won one more round, I think it would have been like between 65 and 70th, somewhere in there. So probably
Okay.
still outside of it, but I don't know with tiebreakers and I'm not into breaking all that down or
Math
whatever.
is for blockers. It's fine. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Still though,
Just don't
uh,
lose, and it's
that's
fine.
yeah.
day 2, solid showing. I'm glad the draft strat came through for you.
I do
You
feel
had a
like
winning, you had a winning record at the Pro Tour against, literally the best players in the world. So, nothing to be upset about.
No,
yeah.
not
No,
at all.
I'm happy about how the weekend went. My final thoughts on Aurora is that I find it very boring. And I finally was able to solidify this, that the reason I find that deck boring and other decks like it boring is that it's strictly better not to block. Therefore, you're missing out on half of the game of Flesh and Blood, where it's like blocking and attacking is like the entire game of Flesh and Blood. So if you just don't block, or then like if you're just playing like a full fatigue deck and you're not attacking, that's also very boring. It's like I find the most joy in the game when I'm doing both, and it's correct.
Hatchet story.
After I played
Yeah.
that last weekend.
All right,
All right,
Mark.
Mark. How's your?
Yeah, so my trip to Europe was action packed. So my wife has always been telling me if I ever qualify for a tournament that's quote unquote a fun place to go, she wants to come along. Um, so when I qualified for London, I was like, "Is this the time? Are you gonna come to a tournament with me?" And she's like, "Yes, we're gonna go to London. We're gonna go explore Europe for a week, before the tournament. Have a little mini vacation." And then I was like, "Cool. What are you gonna do when I'm playing?" She goes, "Oh, she didn't want to explore the city by herself, so she decided to invite some friends. So she invited some friends to come to Europe for vacation the week before, and then that turned into the friends she invited asked, "Hey, do you mind if I uh, get engaged this week while we're there?" And so that turned into more friends coming because they knew that it was going to be like an engagement celebration. So I ended up going with a group of 8 to Scotland the week before London. We started up in the Isle of Skye, which is the the Highlands part of Scotland. And let me tell you, driving there is scary. For people who live in the Highlands, I don't know how you do it. For those who don't know, imagine you're driving on a single lane road where only one car can go. And it's when I say single lane, it's not just one way, it's one way in both directions. You have cars coming at I think 60 kilometers per hour in both directions, and it's almost like a game of chicken where whoever gets there first, the other person just kind of has to pull off to the side of the road to let the other person pass. Otherwise, it's just a head-on collision. But you can't pull off too far because you're on a mountain and you can't fall off. There's also lots of
I
twists and
bet you
turns
could
and
fall off actually.
yeah, there's lots of blinding exits, sorry, blinding turns as well, and you never know when some random sheep is just gonna be in the road. Like there are just sheep everywhere. I don't know like how else to explain it. There's livestock. There's lots of goats as well. There's Highland cows. So you have to not only watch out for cars coming the opposite directions, but you never know when wild animals will just randomly just be chilling on the road, hanging out. It was a very interesting driving experience, something that I don't recommend, and nor would I want to experience again. But the
Were
Isle of
you
Skye was
driving or were
beautiful.
you a passenger?
I was happily a passenger. When I say happily, it's like I think I would be more terrified driving.
Fair, fair.
A terrified passenger, but didn't want to drive.
That
But
that's how I felt about France when I went to France and was in Paris for a bit. You know, we took Uber or Lyfts when we had places to actually drive to. And I want nothing to do with driving in that city. And honestly, it's not. It's less the roads and the cars because the roads are smaller, but the cars are also smaller. It's the ubiquitousness of little motorbikes and mopeds and stuff that are just everywhere and in traffic in crazy ways that makes me really uncomfortable. Conversely, I
yeah,
got back from Texas last week. There are like neighborhood streets in San Angelo, Texas that you could land a plane on. They're like you could easily have 6 lanes of traffic on these neighborhood roads. Why? Because Texas is super flat. There's infinite space, so people build out and not up. So it's just you could like have a 6 lane road and have people parked on either side. Tons of room. That's why the trucks are so huge. Make the road feel a little less empty.
but everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so started off in the Isle of Skye. Worked my friends and I. We worked our way down to Edinburgh, which is more central Scotland. Edinburgh, another beautiful city. We got to climb up on top of Arthur's Seat, which is basically it's like a mountain in the middle of the city, which is something you never see in the U.S. At least not in the Midwest or East Coast. So that it's a place that I went to when I was a freshman in college, and it was great to 15 20 years, I forget how long ago it was, that was like 15 years later, I got to go to the same mountain again, but this time climb with now my wife and some other friends, so it was a great experience. And from there we eventually got to London, and it was time for the pro tour. During this week, I didn't play any Flesh and Blood leading up to the Pro Tour. I did all my prep beforehand, so I had to be locked in on a hero. Like Alex, I was struggling to find a hero to play. I'm really big on playing a hero that I enjoy, less so like what the quote unquote best decks are. So I'm willing to play a deck even if it's a low tier hero if I enjoy playing it. I thought I was going to play Syndra because it was easy, it's fun. At least I find it fun. I know Alex doesn't like not being able to block. I'm the exact opposite. If I don't have to block, it's great. All gas, no brakes. It sounds like the perfect deck for me. But unfortunately, Syndra just it was I think too low on the tier list for me to want to play it. I figured if I am traveling all the way to Europe, yes, I want to play a deck that's fun, but I want to play a deck that at least gives me a slight chance to, play games. And Syndra just wasn't that deck. So I ended up landing on Victor. I built a Victor deck that I was hoping was going to target Aurora and any other, aggro decks that might exist in the format. And it actually had like a reasonable win percentage against Enigma. I know most victors just assume that's an auto loss, but I was able to get the deck close to like 40%, which to me is perfectly acceptable for it being one of your bad matchups. When I was in Scotland before the week before, this is when Slippy became like slightly more popular, and I hadn't tested the matchup and at all, any way, shape, or form. So I asked a couple of teammates if they could test the matchup, the Victor Slippy matchup for me. Um, that, that's one of the great things about being on a team. You can have this. If you don't have time, you can have other teammates you can rely on for great information and seeing what the matchup's like. They played like 4 or 5 games, and they said, "Oh, it's Victor favor. Don't worry about Mark. You got this. Just do whatever plan you want. You can either fatigue him or you can beat him down. Your choice." I'm like, "Sweet." So that's a little bit foreshadowing for the tournament. So the tournament starts round one. We get paired against Enigma. Not super happy, but it's fine. Um, Unfortunately, I was on the bad side of variance for the Enigma matchup, where I think I lost every clash. My opponent won both sides of Trounce and 2 tester strings, so they ended up having 3 gold in play when the game ended. Even losing every clash, it was still a pretty close game. I got him down to like 5 life, but I was never able to make any might tokens on my side of the field, so I was never able to swing the game back to my favor. So that's fine. That happens. Losing a unfavorable matchup, no problem.
Yeah, being
Round
Victor
two.
without the money, not very good. He's Batman. That is his superpower.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I believe that I was able to get the Enigma matchup to be reasonable is because we added so much go again into the deck. So one of the jokes we like to make in the team is I'm playing Victor, but I'm always threatening Mass Trigger like I'm playing a ninja deck. Because I'm always going 3 chains wide, which is something you should almost never be doing in Guardian. And every time I did that to an opponent during the Pro Tour, they were always very confused and wondering how I had so much go again. So it was fun doing that throughout the tournament. But the tournament definitely didn't start out great. Lost to Enigma round one, paired against Slippy round two, which I was told was a good matchup. But just because I get told that the matchup was favored, I still didn't do the proper preparation and actually learning what I needed to do to win this matchup. So I pretty much got blown out. I thought I was able to fatigue my opponent. So I did something that I normally don't do, and I just like blocked out my opponent and tried to do value plays, which seemed pretty strong. And the Slippy just blew me out. It wasn't a very close game. That's just my fault. I needed to prep better, which is fine. I don't know like what else to do. Like I wasn't expecting Slippy to be relevant in the meta until it was past the time I was testing. I know like when you only have so much time in the day to test, you have to test what's important, and that's definitely something I didn't feel was important leading up to the Pro Tour. I don't know if anyone else has different opinions on Slippy before the week of the Pro Tour.
I didn't, but I was basically inactive for this Pro Tour, so not the
Um,
best opinion.
I think it came down to it seemed like it was pretty good into Aurora just because it could like keep up with damage, but then also be a bit disruptive. Um, and then also probably the most reasonable assassin into Enigma, just because of the natural fact that it just gets go again on their first attack. So you can either like go wide or tall depending on how the Enigma blocks, and it's hard to play around that from their side. So it's a very like I'm good into the top two decks and I'm bad into everything else, but I'm willing to do that for this event because Enigma and Aurora will end up being and did end up being 50% of all the decks played.
That's why I forgot that those two decks made up half the field. That's quite the meta we had.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, pro tours are all well have historically been the most like polarized, right? They'll be the most top heavy metagame wise.
Yeah. Callings you could end up like playing against anything really. Like the first 3 rounds of a calling you could play against any hero in the game pretty much. But
True,
Pro
but
Tours is
even this calling though was pretty heavily slanted towards Aurora Enigma, and the day two wasn't drastically different either.
yeah.
But this leads me to round three. So I've started off 0-2 at the Pro Tour. Obviously not a great start, but I was just happy. At the time, a lot of our friends were doing well. People were winning the first couple of rounds, so I was happy for them. I historically have not done well at the Pro Tour level thus far. I don't think I've only made day two once. I never cashed before, so it wasn't a big deal to me. I was enjoying Europe, so either way, I was having a good time. But round three, I got paired against Zen, and I was like, cool, things are finally in my favor. This is a matchup that I know I'm favored in, and I've tested a lot. So I thought that things were going to go very well. But then on my opponent's turn two, he naturally triple cheese Cosmic Awakening me. And I just, I was like, oh, I guess, I just figured, I guess this is just how my Pro Tour is going to go. It's just going to not be a great one, but but that'll be okay. As that was happening, my wife actually stopped by the convention hall just to check in to see how I was doing. So she walked in right as this was happening and like looked over, and she told me afterwards that when she saw me, she was wondering like how I was doing, but then she just saw the look on my face and my opponent's faces, and I was like full of the dread and despair, and my opponent was just like very calm and happy. So she's like, oh, that match probably isn't going well either. But then, even though it started off very poorly, she said she kept watching. Because I don't know, for those who don't know, at the Pro Tour level, the matches aren't very like they're not spectator friendly. It's roped off. It's in a roped off area, so spectators can't actually get to the tables to actually watch the players closely. So she's watching from a distance, and she also doesn't know anything about flesh and blood, so she wouldn't be able to tell you who was winning even if she was watching. So she was just going off facial expressions. But she said like as the match continued, my facial expressions apparently slowly got better and better, and maybe happy, but more just like relaxed and less sad, I guess. Which is weird because normally I try to keep like a poker face and try to keep the same expression at all times, but apparently I don't, or my wife is just very observant because she knows me so well. But she said she watched it slowly, that I started becoming more calm, more relaxed, and my opponent started putting his hands on his head, being more and more upset. Essentially, what happened was I just had very good clashes that kept lining up, and some CNC pummels that lined up perfectly for like 3 turns in a row. And that's how you come
CNC
back
pummel be
from
like that.
yeah, and that's how you come back from a huge hole after your opponent naturally Cosmic Awakenings you on turn two.
It's funny you say that about your wife because my parents, when I mentioned that I was going to London for this tournament, they're like, "Oh, we've always wanted to go to London." I was like, "Then just go. I mean, if you want to." And then they were like, "You know what? We will." So they like came and, but then they came to the day two and watched that Fang game that I was talking about. And so I went up to them after, and my mom was like, "Hey, was there a it was a very close game from like your facial expression. It was a very close game, and then it came down to like 1 turn, and then you won that game, right?" I was like, "Yeah, how did you know that?" And they're like, we could just tell. Apparently, I have a tell, so that's good to know.
I feel like then we should just all have on-camera feature matches and just slowly watch like how all of our all the different facial reactions we have throughout a game, and see if we can pick up on our own tells.
Yeah, they were like, you
My
kept
first
like
feature matches, I was in
brushing
a
your
mask.
cheek.
Back at the old PT1.
Yep. So, anyway, back to the Pro Tour. After the Zed match, I ended up playing another Slippy. I still haven't learned what I'm supposed to be doing, but I figured, well, if I can't fatigue my opponent, I'll just go on the beatdown plan. So I threw an Anathos and a bunch of go again attacks, and it was a much closer game. I think if I won, one more clash, I probably would have swung it in my favor. My opponent had some pretty decent turns, and they were able to outvalue me. So I started off the Pro Tour 1-3, and I was like, well, I guess all I have to do is, just go 4-0 to make day two. Can't be that difficult.
Just win a Cleveland Armory. It's fine.
Yeah, something that I've only done once in my life. So lightning can strike twice. Round 5, I got paired against an Enigma player. Which again, not a great matchup, but this time I was able to win my clashes. I was able to hit my timely go again when my opponent does his mirror guy things, and so we were able to win that Enigma match. But my Enigma opponent definitely it was definitely feeling pain afterwards because that eliminated him from the Pro Tour. They definitely they weren't a bad sport about it anyway, but they were definitely upset being eliminated that early from the Pro Tour. Being eliminated before a draft, I'm sure, isn't a fun feeling. I guess being eliminated at any
I,
point isn't a fun feeling, but
yeah,
that early
and
probably is
and you. I
more
mean, as soon
upsetting.
as you were 1-3, though, you're living at the Dream Crush table for the rest of the day. As long as you keep winning. The only way to day
Yeah.
2 was to make 4 other people not day 2.
Right. But because of that, when I entering round 6, now we're entering the draft portion of the Pro Tour. My pod, we're all 2-3. We all have to 3-0 this pod in order to make day 2. It was a very relaxed, joyful pod. Everyone was joking around, even though it's supposed to be a silent process. My draft pod was not silent. If you heard people talking, it was from our pod. We were laughing. I guess we could apologize for the rest of the Pro Tour competitors who were definitely trying to concentrate more. But we knew we were basically on death's door, so we were just having a good time, enjoying being in the Pro Tour.
Only one of
But
us is getting out of here, so the rest of us are gonna have fun.
yeah, this is the perfect time to implement the Force Arachne strategy though, because we said we want to force Arachne, we're trying to 3-0, and if not, we're okay to 0-3, and really 2-1, 1-2, 0-3, that's all the same result in this scenario when you need to 3-0 the pod. So if there's ever a time to force, it's force when you have to go 3-0. So I did force Arachne. I was lucky. I was able to bully. I think 4 people started off on Arachne, and then it went down to either I was the only Arachne left, or there were 2 of us because everyone else saw that Arachne dried up, and they all pivoted, and I decided not to pivot because I was like, oh, we're just going to stay the course. Something else that I found interesting in my testing is it seemed like the rest of the world, when I say the rest of the world, the 2 draft pods in the Pro Tour that I attended and the Runaways draft pods that I've played in, it seems like most people undervalue danger digits, or at least undervalue it compared to where I value it. To me, it's like one of the most important cards for Arachne. I guess one of the most important common slash rares. Obviously, there's some Majestics I would take over it, but I really can't think of a rare or a common that I would take over Danger Digits. And in both draft pods, I got Danger Digits 4th pick. So multiple people who could have taken it, who were either Syndra or Arachne, passed on it and taking other cards over it. So I found that interesting. I know that was something that I noted for the team going into the Pro Tour, that kept happening consistently in the Runaways drafts, and typically a lot of people who draft in the Runaways Discord are people who are practicing for the Pro Tour. So I felt like this was going to be the same pattern at the Pro Tour. And at least for me, Alex, I don't know if you found anything different when it came to Danger Digits, but for me, that our theory held true.
Yeah, I agree that Danger Digits is like one of the most important cards for Ragni, especially if you get the the Defang the Dragon and Extinguish the Flame, the contract cards for Syndra and Fang. It is like an insane card when you have those. But yeah, my pod 1, I was also past Danger Digits at some point. I was like, awesome. Love to see
That
it.
happened. That happened to me. I guess I don't want to give spoil. It's gonna be a spoiler anyway. It happened to me in my second draft pod. I didn't have unarms yet, and in my pack 3, pick 4, there was danger digits, so I was ecstatic that I got not only an arm piece. So I wanted any arm piece, but I got the perfect arm piece in my mind. So since I said it, I made day 2. I was lucky enough to able to force everyone out of Arachne. Had pretty easy games, mainly because my deck happens to be, when you're just solo Arachne, your deck should be better than everyone else's. So it wasn't me really playing better than people. It was just my deck happened to line up better, and then my draws were optimal. So we were able to complete the 4-0, the 1-3 into the 4-0, making the day 2. And now I was really excited because now I didn't have to spend 70 euros or 70 pounds to play in the calling, and I get to play more competitive Flesh and Blood at the Pro Tour. Second pod came. I had the same draft strat. It was a little bit more serious pod because now everyone's like technically still alive, even though we were the last pod. I think a lot of fortunate things would have had to happen if we won out to make top 8. We need a lot of pair downs to win. But so
But the odds are not zero.
yeah. But there's still
Hey,
there's still
that's
a
how
lot
you
of
made
guys.
that call in top 8. You were in like 12.
Right. But the dream of top 8ing died in the first round of day 2 where I lost very quickly. So I knew very early in the day that I had a 0% chance of making top 8, which is fine. I'm still having fun, still the Pro Tour. I was able to win my last 2 rounds on Arachne. Something that was really fun, because we're at the Pro Tour and we get to play against so many international players. I learned from I had a couple of Japanese players in my draft pod and also a Korean player. Apparently in Asia, they're just not able to fire drafts. They told me I was talking to them. They said that this was like one of the first drafts they've done because like at their country's nationals, it's just constructed. It's only CC. They don't do drafts and they don't do a split format. At their armories, they can't get drafts to fire. So I thought maybe that was a reason why that I was able to get danger digits so late, because some of the Asian players just they're not able, unless you're on a team, you're not able to get enough people to actually get good draft reps. So that's something that I guess we're pretty privileged to have here in the U.S. to have armories that do drafts. Not that they fire every time, but there are enough people that play the game so we can actually have other formats than just CC.
Mhm.
Something else that was cool, I got to play a Swiss player throughout the tournament, in this tournament, and after the match, I was fortunate enough to win, but they were still a good sport. And then they had to like say, hey, after every match, I have all this candy bars from Switzerland. Would you like one? So yeah, so great. So I got to get some Swiss chocolate. There was a Japanese player that I played and said, hey, I get all my opponents every round. Like basically, I forget what the Pro Tour mat we got, what playmat we got, but they used it and they had each of their opponents sign the playmat after every round, which I thought was a great idea. It's a great memory to have, like being able to say this is the playmat that I went to at this Pro Tour, and these are all my opponents that are signed on there. So it was a lot of fun to see like different traditions that people were doing for the Pro Tour, and I don't know, it's something that we always say, but we definitely have the best TCG community out there.
Speaking of like little tokens like that, Eclipse member Ken made these marked tokens, which if you're watching the video, it's a mark token with a picture of Mark holding up his calling champion like trophy. So while I was playing Arachne and marking people, I would give them this token, and they would look at it and laugh, and I'd be like, "Yeah, that's my buddy Mark," and then they would be like, "Where do I know him from?" I was like, "Well, he won the Calling Hartford," and they're like, "No, no, that's not it." And I was like, "He played Acilio on stream twice on some event," and they're like, "Yeah, that's where I know him from." So More
it,
famous
it
for
was a
playing a
weird
Cilio than winning a calling.
Yeah, it was a weird experience. I had a number of people approach me because they recognized me playing Acilio, or they just saw my name and they go, "Wait, you're Mark Morrison? You're the Acilio player." And I was like, it was just a very surreal experience. Like I've joked about my wife that I'm like not that I'm like a celebrity in this game, but I'm like I told my wife I'm kind of well known in this game. Like I go places, people know who I am, and she just assumed that I meant locally. Well, when we were on Thursday registering for the Pro Tour. And I was signing up. There was a judge there, I think from Italy, or another European country. I can't remember what the flag symbol was. When he saw my name, he goes, "Oh, you're Mark Morrison. Are you playing Acilio for the Pro Tour?" And I go, "No, I'm playing Victor." And then my wife just looks at me and goes, "People actually know you." I told you, I wasn't joking. And the same thing happened on Sunday when I was at a vendor just buying some cards for the LL Battle Harden. I didn't know that it was going to be an LL Battle Harden, so I didn't bring like ball lightnings for my Acilio deck. So I was at a vendor just buying some cards. He asked me what hero I was playing. I told him, "Oh, I'm going to play Acilio." Then another vendor to the right of him immediately turns his head like, "Are you Mark Morrison?" And I go, "Yes."
Oh,
So it was
that's
the
awesome.
Acilio community, they love their hero, and it's a fun hero. There's good reasons to love it, but I didn't realize how recognized I was by the small subset in our Flesh and Blood community.
I think that's the coolest part about some of the niche heroes. It's worn off at this point, but there was the better part of a year and a half where I was kind of like the Vincent guy, and
And
yeah,
it's not just because you wore the Vincent shirt.
it's not just because of that. No, I was the first Vincent LL point getter out there.
I
Uh,
didn't realize you were the first one.
mm-hmm.
That makes much more sense why some people know you as the Vincent guy then.
Yep. And then also that was when I was like streaming with some amount of regularity. It was just a lot of Vincent for a long time. And now I have a kid and I haven't streamed in a year, so stuff happens.
All right, so finishing up my day two. Now we're entering CC. I finished 2-1 limited, so I'm 6-4 currently. Not 6-4, 7-4. That's how math works. 7-4 going into the CC. My first round opponent, I actually get to play against a Fang player. This Fang player said they went undefeated day one, which is awesome. Like I didn't know Fang was capable of starting off 5-0 at the Pro Tour, especially when it has such what I thought such a bad Aurora matchup. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought going into it. But I was lucky. My clashes lined up pretty well. I was able to win against Fang. The next round, what did I play the next round? I think I played against another Enigma, if I recall.
I think
This
that's
Enigma,
correct.
yeah. And then I, I forget the Enigma player's name, but I remember somebody from, I think Alex, you recognized him. I think you said he won like a Battle Hardened on Kano or something.
I believe he was in the top 8 of the Pro Tour LA. I think he was the Kano player.
Okay. So obviously a very good player if you're able to the top 8 of Pro Tour. But they happen to be on Enigma this time. And I was able to do my threatened mass trigger. We had a really close game, but I was able to threaten mass multiple turns in a row. So we were able to pull off a win against Enigma. So I was have a winning record against Enigma at the Pro Tour, win at 2-1. Even though I know many people in the Victor Discord thinks that it was an unwinnable matchup, but if you just built the deck, built the deck with more go again, you can definitely make it playable.
Is that the
Still
game?
unfavored.
Is that the game that you broke all the gold? Was that the last
Yeah,
round?
I think I had like 7 gold in play, and my opponent had multiple ward and a mirror guy in play, and had a full grip and D react. So it's like, so I knew that I had to dig for multiple go again cards. So I think I cracked all 7 gold, and I ended up finding E Strike, Zealous Belting, Rouse the Ancients. So I was able to play all of them.
Jeez.
Turns out gold was the payoff all along.
Only if you're Victor. Only if you're Victor.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I think so. At this point, I'm 9-4 with 2 rounds to go. I know if I just win one of the next 2 games, I can actually cash my first ever Pro Tour. So I was pretty excited. And then I played again. I got paired against in round 14 a Kano player. And I really try my best to keep composure during all my games. But for whatever reason, once I saw Kano, like I was just like super deflated. And I immediately just like I basically tilted and started playing very poorly. The game started and I forgot to put my gold token in play. Start the game. Just for whatever reason, just forgot to do it. Like, well, that's the first mistake. Then for 2 turns in a row, I forgot my tunic trigger, which I'm proud to say that those are the only 2 tunic triggers I missed all weekend. Which
Mark is
it's a
notably
trigger.
bad at that.
Yeah, I've missed many tunic triggers in my life, so I was actually really happy I only missed 2, but it happened to be against this Kano player. Like to be fair, even if I played like tight and played better, I still didn't have a chance against in this game. My opponent happened to have optimal draws to beat me pretty easily, but I still like to pride myself in not tilting. So it's still something I clearly need to work on because it can still happen to anyone, and it's something that I'm definitely aware of, and we'll try to improve for the next tournament. So the Kano was beat me. I'm 9-5 now. I know that I still have one more round though. If I win, I can still cash. I get paired against Alex Chitu. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I know he's a good UK player. He's playing Aurora. It's the first Aurora I got paired against all tournament. So I'm pretty excited. I finally get to play against the one
The
matchup
reason
I
you're
was gunning
playing
for.
Victor.
Yeah. I basically everything went right for me this game. I won the die roll. I was able to go second. On my first turn, I was able to pummel him with an attack action, which was great because he had the Flicker Rift combo set up in Arsenal, and with the pummel, I was able to save like 8 damage. And then I was able to also win all my clashes that game. I think I won 4 clashes in the first 5 turns. So basically everything went right for me. Variance was on my side, and I was able to beat Alex, and I was able to catch my first Pro Tour. So I was very excited about how I finished the Pro Tour, finishing the top 64 with Victor.
Heck yeah, battling back both days. Nicely
I was,
done. And yeah,
I,
you set the pace, right? Because it was you guys were our top 2 finishers at 10-5 and 9-6, I think.
Yes, for
Yeah.
Team
yeah.
Eclipse.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
If you don't count the battle harden. Um,
But
but I was at the airport on my way home. I saw one of the guys from Pittsburgh that we play against locally all the time. And since they did the deck list submissions online, they were able to post them immediately. And he he goes and he's like I saw Mark's Victor list. What is that guy on? Like it's all the go again cards. He's like, what is wrong with that guy? I was like, nothing. He went 10-5 with Pro Tour. He's like, he did what now? So
It's also even funnier that I don't know who you ran into, but they specifically looked up my list.
yeah, we had talked about it on Sunday, and I said, oh yeah, Mark was playing Victor
Okay.
with I told him the joke about you triggering massive momentum, and he like chuckled. Obviously, didn't believe me that it was as serious as as it was. But
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that, and we also played. I'm so bad with names of Flesh and Blood cards. So Kevin or Alex, maybe you guys know the name, but the
out muscle,
or no, the Aura card that it costs 3, and
uh,
then your next
Towering
turn
Titan.
it pops.
smash
Yeah,
up. It's smash
mm,
up. It's the smaller one. Towering Titan is
What Smash
the
Up is the one for
9
5.
cost.
Smash Up's an attack.
No,
Yeah.
crash down. That's what it is. Crash down.
Crash down. Yeah, so I ended up playing a few crash downs in my list. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Mainly for the Earth Heroes, which I never got to play, but it actually worked out pretty well against Enigma. If sometimes I just play at turn 0 and I'm able to set up and do damage early, or sometimes I just set up and then if Enigma doesn't have a board, then Crash Down is a great card just to play. And if they have a bunch of D reacts, then they don't threaten much damage at you.
Sick. Very cool. Uh yeah, and then the rest of the PT as a whole, you guys uh dodged basically all the Auroras out. I mean, what you jointly played one in all of your CC rounds, which is crazy. But yeah, the top eight ended up being three Aurora, three Prism, two Enigma, and obviously Pablo took down yet another Pro Tour,
The
um,
goat.
which is insane, just absolutely insane. It's
It's like
definitely a two horse race on the Fab Goat at this point with Pablo and Hamilton.
is it a two-horse race at this point? Because Pablo has more results on international like majors. Michael only has one result
He top eighted another
at Worlds.
Worlds.
Oh, he top eight
He
another
won the
Worlds?
first
Okay.
Worlds. I'm pretty sure he top eighted another, and he's gotten like top 16 at a couple more Pro Tours that he didn't top eight.
Okay, my mistake. I
Yeah,
didn't
like
realize I didn't
it's
realize that. Okay.
yeah, no, it's and also he's won maybe three battle hardens on top of it. Like he won the Leo
Callings,
battle
you mean.
hardened. No, well, battle hardens and some callings also. Yeah, like there's a lot of results there.
Yeah. Like for callings in particular, I put less weight on for American player or for North American players because we have more opportunities to win the callings. Where I think if Pablo was here in the US, he would have just as many wins as Michael, if not more.
That's fair. That's fair. Um,
Maybe not wins, but at least top eights. But winning a tournament's very hard,
yeah.
even though he keeps doing it.
So to make it look not very hard somehow. Uh, so yeah, so Enigma winning the PT, um, and the calling that weekend basically teed it up so that at week one of this Singapore ProQuest season, both Zen and Enigma they had like a trivial amount of events they needed to win. I think like three or four or five each. Um, and yeah, so 2/3 of MST just kind of gone like that.
Good wins.
And now this previous week, since Enigma is gone, Aurora, I think she got like 50 something wins. So she is now shot up to 914 points, which
Yeah,
means that she will probably not last through the ProQuest season, which could potentially mean that we have three different metas for one ProQuest season.
which yeah, that's pretty crazy. I do Aurora's going too fast, definitely. Like I feel bad for Ellie in particular because I know she really loves playing her Aurora. Uh, but like, and when the season started, it was like, okay, coin flip, she'll be legal for U.S. Nats. That was basically sort of what it looked like. But week two, like such a crazy surge in points gained that with 3 weekends of events left for this ProQuest season, there's no way she's legal when US Nats rolls around.
Well, and it's also even possible that uh, Dash Inventor Extraordinaire could Living Legend also potentially, because she got 3 wins this last week, and she's at 950 something, like real close. And then also New is at like high 800s. So if I don't know, if Aurora hits Living Legend this week, and then everybody plays New next week, it's potential that she could also uh, Living Legend. We might lose 5 heroes in one ProQuest season. That would be
I
crazy.
think
It
I
was
think
due
new.
though.
Yeah.
We were due hero rotation, and the only reason it didn't happen a little more organically over the last year is for the last year we've had MST. They've sucked up 3,000 LL points in under a year, not to mention Aurora also sucking up another 1,000 there. And even Florian is right around 400. He'll be around 500 by the end of this ProQuest season. Like we just The LL points to churn things were there. They just ended up really, really lopsided in one direction, and now we're
What's really
getting past
What's
it.
really interesting about Aurora, at least in my opinion, I don't think Aurora is really that powerful. I think it's still the best deck in the format. I think the only reason why it's LLing so quickly is not because of its power level, but it's because of the ease of play. So I think if Aurora was more complicated, it can have the same power level, but it wouldn't win nearly as many games. But because it's so easy to play, that not to discredit people who are winning with it, but it doesn't take as much skill to win with it, so it's easier for more people to be able to pick it up and win tournaments with it. So like I don't even know like what LSS could have done in the testing process because I don't think there's anything wrong with the current Aurora deck, and I'm actually really shocked like at how quickly it's been accumulating points.
I think
I think it's
my
sorry.
thought on what could have been adjusted for Aurora is just Flicker Wisp. I don't think the 0 for 4's dot deck aggro deck, like there's kind of always one of those in some way, shape, or form. I don't think that's the part that's too good, but I do think that the fact that there's that Arc Lightning, Flicker, Wisp like backup plan that you're like, oh, well, Florian's a tough matchup. Okay, I guess we'll just combo nuke him, right? Like, and have a 30 damage with 20 of it being chunks of arcane. Like that. That is where it crosses the line. I think it's that gives it a little too much versatility. But yeah, the baseline power level of Aurora the aggro deck, I don't think crosses a line.
Yeah, I think it's I've a lot of thoughts on this because seeing a ton of people like talk about how like LSS made such a big mistake with Aurora and like it should never uh like a deck should never living legend this fast and like people who love to play Aurora are sad, but everybody is sad when their favorite hero hits living legend. But I think that this is a feature of the LL system, not a bug. And I think if LSS was worried about Aurora like hitting a living legend too fast, then they would have done something either before the Pro Tour or after the Pro Tour, like hit Flicker Wisp or Somersault or something like that, which they didn't do. So um, I'm still in the camp of in LSS we trust. Um, but also I think it's a little bit of a it's the Pro Tour is very public, obviously, getting streamed. Aurora being 30% of that. Everybody who is like a armory, like local event, like not going to Pro Tours, like more casual, like I'm playing the game for fun, not traveling the world for it. Just sees like, oh, all the pro players think that Aurora is the best deck. 30% of them brought it to this event, so I should play it because it's good. And then, like you said, Mark, it's like pretty simple on the sequencing of it. Where it's just like, how many go agains can I string in a row this turn? Um, so then that leads to just a ton of people playing it, which then leads to just a ton of people winning with it.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but
Yeah,
I don't know. It's also there was the first strike decks, and then there was the actual set, adding to a card pool that was the lightning card pool outside of ball lightning was historically a bit underpowered, but you brought in a modern design power level set to go with a handful of old gems like lightning surge and twine lightning, that sort of thing. And first strike, nothing crazy broken in there, but they had was it static shock or whatever, the 0 for 4 with lightning flow on it, I think. So like a little extra tool
yeah,
there. The set itself was really good. The room blade equipment was already great, and then you add like lightning greaves into the mix, which is just an insanely strong piece of equipment. And then the Armory deck Aurora, like, had 4 playable cards in it. Like, each of the, you know, each of the cards in there that it added majestic wise were solid. The Skizix and
Scarlet
I forget.
Serenade.
Yeah, like there were 3 good playable cards you're adding in there, and an equipment that was maybe in the mix in some lists. Um, and just relative to you know other, like Armored Bolton, how many majestic power level cards did Bolton really get to add into the mix from his Armory deck? So it was Aurora was already good, already consistent, and then got arguably one of the, at least one of the strongest Armory decks printed to date, if not the strongest, and it's kind of a recipe to get where we are now with it.
What's interesting though is like as you say that, that same thought process, that same exact scenario happened with KO, and yet KO is still here. It was a strong deck. It got an armory deck, and people thought it was going to living legend, and it didn't. It's still around.
But the but Armory deck KO realistically gave Savage Sash, which obviously phenomenal card. Not sleeping on that. Like, that is more impactful than any of the individual Aurora editions. But then the other add-on it got was a blue 1 for 5. Like, it was another sort of role player. It wasn't like 6 to 9 deck cards.
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yep. Also,
Um,
and people complaining about, like, what's the onboard experience for Fab gonna be now? It's gonna be the Ira welcome deck into the Ira Armory deck that is coming soon. And with this Project Blue stuff, like Commoner-esque, they might be getting away from Blitz, so maybe we don't get more First Strike decks. So maybe those just disappear. Um, but another good onboarding would be Terra into Jarl. If somebody is interested in that style of play versus Ninja.
I'm real into Armory deck Terra. That'd be sweet. Uh,
Also, also just KO and Dash IO. I think there's lots of onboarding options for new players.
right, but I don't think you would disagree that Dash IO is probably not the most new player friendly archetype
Mhm.
in how it functions, whereas KO is definitely a bit more straightforward. But
That's fair.
um, all right, yeah. So Enigma gone, Zen gone, Aurora probably gone this weekend. The whole upper echelon, everything that, well, no, there was Prism at the top of it, but that's fine. Prism be doing Prism stuff. But yeah, most of the recent best decks are just sprinting right out the door right before we get high seas. Um, Gravy Bones, the name still just makes me laugh. I can't. I struggle to take it seriously.
I hate to admit, but I didn't know there was a joke there until somebody told me about Davy Jones
Well,
and
and but
like
it's two
recently.
though. It's like there's multiple little jokes that turned into just a little bit of a funny name. Why is this guy named Gravy Bones? Well, you see, he's a necromancer and a pirate. And there's a pirate named Davy Jones, and he is a necromancer,
This is
so he
great.
pulls things up from the grave. So great Gravy Bones.
This is right over my head. Had no idea.
uh, yeah.
Is it
So
gonna blow your mind if I tell you that the little bird Polycranca is Polywana Cracker?
That's really funny.
wait, you didn't know
So,
that one? Oh, amazing.
I no, I just don't look for puns in everyday life. I don't know. I just look at everything as straight value,
I
as
mean,
face
everything
value.
that LSS prints is a pun, so
Chum, friendly first mate. A plus on the name and the pun. because he's dead. And chum is what you feed to sharks. Fun fact. Put chum in the waters to like get the other fish going.
Yeah. So high seas in general, we don't really have enough cards to like talk about it. There haven't been enough cards spoiled, but they have talked about each of the heroes having multiple archetypes that you can do in draft. And James is even talking about the quality of this limited set before the Hunted came out. He's like, guys, this next set, the Hunted, is really good, but the set after that, that limited experience, is fantastic. So it's like, oh, okay, well. And then the Treasure Island macro. Every time I read that card, I like find something else about it, and it's it's gonna make limited very weird.
Yeah. So the Treasure
Very
Island
weird.
macro is the high seas macro landmark. The first time a hero is attacked each turn, put a gold counter on this. Whenever you or an ally you control deals damage to an opposing hero, you remove that many gold counters from this, then create gold tokens equal to the number of counters removed this way. Gold. You just be getting gold.
A lot of things happening there.
Yeah, no, it's a. And I guess is it? Yeah, you each get the macro. Not that it super matters, I guess. So you each get your own macro.
I thought it was just one macro in play.
Well,
I thought it's just
I
like a
guess it's a landmark.
field
So you,
card. Yeah. The landmark, that's what I meant.
okay, and yeah, and then it just apply effect. It yeah, you both effectively have it, and then whenever you or an ally you control deals damage to an opposing hero. Huh. So yeah, so if you yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see the impact of that card or of I mean it's literally just an extra rule set for the limited environment, so will be
If there
very
are multiple
interesting.
ways you can, multiple archetypes of every hero, that means it might actually finally be good to stay open in draft.
The dream, absolutely the dream.
Or
Um,
my nightmare.
yeah, true. Oh no, I have to read signals and learn to draft. Well, no, you forcing puts everybody tells everybody else where to go. You're fine.
I hope so. I hope it's like Outsiders, where I feel like there were multiple archetypes there, even though it wasn't the same hero archetypes, it was different heroes, but still different archetypes.
Hmm. Yeah, I the big pirate. Oop, we lost an Alex.
Alex's internet connection went out, but we can continue as he returns.
Yeah, it's okay. The camera's just gonna look a little funny for a bit. I'm on two different chunks of screen, but that's fine. Uh, it'll fix itself when Alex gets back. Um, the thing I'm interested in is the pirate attacks, which I guess they're uh yeah, just or the pirate ranger attacks are like they're big. There's 2 for 6s, and then there's Conqueror of the High Seas is a 4 cost 7 power command and conquer type thing. Like I like the idea that the pirate attacks are big, right? It's the cannons or the ships, and so the scale of those exceeds what you customarily see from Rangers, which there was prior to this set there was only one 6 power arrow to date, I think. Um, forget the name of it, but yeah, it was just it's like a 2 for 6 or a 3 for 6 that has some on hit effect, but realistically, it just got played because it was a ranger card that was a popper. Um, but yeah, the limited environment is going to be very interesting. Uh,
I'm
I d-
both very excited for the limited environment and very sad that it's week one for US Nationals.
yeah, um, it's it'll be it'll be cool. Hey, Alex is back! Hooray!
Internet went out. That's crazy.
Rip. Welcome back. We were just talking about how we're excited for High Seas Limited, but marginally less excited to have to play it at US Nats on like week 0 of the format. Um,
Yeah, 'cause Mark's forced to look at spoilers.
yep, it's a ton to digest, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It'll be interesting, but at the same time, that just means the limited amounts of draft reps people can squeeze in ahead of time will be even more impactful. So people without either who don't or won't do the runaways drafts or don't have access to physical drafts ahead of time, or not going to be at Singapore for the world premiere. um, you don't really have an opportunity to practice this format before you're playing in it for your nationals well-being.
Yeah, I'm not even confident it would be ready on Talishar and Runaways before U.S. Nationals because it takes a lot of time to code.
True, true.
Yes, it depends on when the set is spoiled.
I believe spoilers start May 11th, but they usually start with the expansion slot. So
I'm honestly surprised we haven't started getting the expansion slot trickle in the recent battle hardens and stuff. But
And I probably still won't pay attention. I'll probably just play Victor at the Pro Tour or Acilio, the Nationals or Acilio, and then just read every new card that gets handed to me at Nationals.
see, I don't know that you can get away with that in the same way with this one though. Between I think some of the mechanologist stuff is going to be weird because Crank is back, but you're not. But it's in a very different hero skin, I guess. And then knowing what all of these new pirate allies are capable of, or what to look for there is, yeah, it's going to be. This one I really think you should read the spoiler for, more so than it's different than like getting dropped into Outsiders or The Hunted, right? Like I could give you a you know a one paragraph thing on Outsiders and The Hunted that would like sum it up, but I don't think I'm going to be able to sum up what this format looks like in the same way, because you've got some giant attacks, you've got some go again, you've got some allies, you're going to have some weird item shenanigans, uh, not to mention all of the like the goldfin harpoons that's sort of, well, ephemeral but not ephemeral, and uh,
they
gold kiss
Elsa's
rum and
finally gave me
gold,
what
and
I've been asking
yeah,
for though.
a crazy
But
complex limited set.
no, um, a way to just like get basically a token arrow so that if your hand is all pumps, you can still do something.
Yep. Pretend, let rangers pretend that they have a weapon.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting that so the new bow in the set is Red Spine Manta, and it's like not quite what redliner,
It
but
is
at the same
exactly
time it is
redliner.
redliner. uh, which I
based
wonder.
off
Okay.
based off how you guys are describing the new set so far, the new heroes, I know I'm never going to draft Ranger. So if you're my draft pod, I will pass you all the Ranger cards. And Gravy Bones, Necromancer sounds too complicated for me to learn in a couple days. So I'll probably just be forcing Mech and just be hoping that everything says crank boost attack.
No, 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 no. But Mark, you've got to find we got to find the blue strat, right? Like maybe there's a
It's
world where
not,
you just your
We
mono
don't have time for
pirates.
that. That took us
yeah,
months.
Uh, fair
yeah.
point. Fair point.
I did so much losing in that format before we found the blue strat.
Touche. Touche. Um, yeah,
The
it'll.
wildest part that I realized looking at spoilers in the hotel lobby bar was the cannon. The I can't remember the name of it, but basically pay 4 resources. Your next arrow attack gets
Oh,
plus
hammerhead,
4.
harpoon, cannon, 4
Yeah,
resources. Tap it. Next arrow gets +4. If it has harpoon in its name, it gets overpower. Go again.
Notably, that's the only bow in the game that does not load from hand when you activate it.
Huh. Because it's a
So
bow cannon.
yeah, um, so you're gonna have to pitch into gold to draw a card to load with her ability, and then pay 4 more to give it +4 and possibly overpower.
So she could use three of a kind and New Horizon well, right? If there's
Potentially, yeah.
yeah, or she would let you, or I guess I'm not sure how that works because it's like it's an instance of draw three. It's not like draw one, draw one, draw one. So when you draw three, did you draw a card, or did you draw a card, draw a card, draw a card, and you get to load? Because Marlin's ability is whenever you draw a card during your action phase, you may put an arrow from your hand face up into your arsenal. So if you have New Horizon, you could potentially three of a kind and like load a couple, load twice from the three of a kind. I don't know if it's gonna work like that or not.
I don't know. Release notes.
Yeah,
Also, if it's too good, your Reaver Catalyst get banned with the books.
true, true. Um,
Really surprised it didn't get banned
It's got
originally.
enough of a downside that you
when
can
your
only play
weapon
it in this
isn't
game.
isn't from Arya, it's got enough of a downside.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm. We got anything else to yap about?
um, this might be so I'm not sure yet because I haven't actually figured out. I don't know for sure if I'm going to Hartford or not to play in the Vibes Regional, or if I'm gonna play two local ProQuests and save myself a trip to Hartford, Connecticut. Uh, tough to say. But this might be the first time I like just sit out a whole ProQuest season, which feels crazy.
Nah, you should come to ProQuest that weekend.
Or should I go be a Vibes regional champion?
I heard there's a lot of Flesh and Blood players. When I say a lot, I mean more than 10 players playing in that tournament
Ah,
in
never mind. I'm
Hartford.
just gonna play my locals then. People who know how to play card games well have discovered Vibes. Run for the hills. The Mark Morrison poker playing ways.
Yeah, and I always say in poker, you don't make money playing against people who are better than you. You only make money by playing people who are worse than you.
We're all worse at Flesh and Blood than Pablo Pintor.
Yeah,
100%.
confirmed.
um, yeah, I think that's about it specifically. I'm pumped for nationals. I'm not like particularly excited about Vegas because it's gonna be a million degrees, but I'm excited for Vegas because we're gonna be in Vegas hanging out and playing card games and playing other card games. Uh, assuming we do a wee bit of gambling while we're out there.
I'm
Um,
excited to
WSOP
hang
is
out with
happening.
yeah,
I'm excited to hang out with the team, but not in Vegas. City is not for me, but
how about Philadelphia though?
that's fine. That's acceptable.
We still have to figure out who's trying to get in on the longer week of the testing house to see if it
Yeah.
is fiscally irresponsible to get it or not.
But anyways, that's Eclipse talk. Um, we're back. So we've lost all of our algorithm points. So share it with your friends. Okay, bye.
We'll get the algorithm points back. It'll
And
be
eventually, Rare will be back too.
yep. We we'll upgrade from calling champion Mark Morrison to two-time battle-hardened winner Ray Adams.
And now commentary. He's
Oh,
commentating the Battle Hardened in Minneapolis this weekend. And Ellie.
that's gonna be sweet. Definitely tune in. It'll be a fun watch, I'm sure. The two of them are phenomenal. Um, all right, yeah, that's gonna do it for today's episode. Thanks for hanging out and listening, and we'll be back in a couple weeks, hopefully with some initial spoilers, some more initial spoilers from High Seas, probably expansion slot stuff, and yeah, we'll be back to talk Nationals meta and other such things. So, thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you next time. See ya.